For Lab 3, we are going to look at data analysis and an Excel chart and graph. And what we've got here is a completed data file, and this is actually from the capstone project that you'll see in the teacher education program. It's what you'll complete right before you graduate. If you're not headed into the teacher education program, then you may use charts and graphs on a daily basis in your whatever job you have. And it's just a good tool to kind of know how to use no matter what you're going to do in life. It's also a very complex tool, so that's why we're not going to have you go through and complete your own chart, because it's one of those tools that you either use it or lose it. It's got so many different features and formulas that if you don't use it on a daily basis, you forget and have to look it back up. So for purposes of the lab, we want you to see what it can do, especially with data analysis for test scores and desegregating subpopulations in your class and looking at assessment scores. So that's what we're going to go through today. And I'm going to show you, this is from a capstone project. So there are 20 students in the class. There were 12 items for both the pre-test and the post-test. So this column shows how many items each student got correct on the pre-assessment, and this is how many items each student got correct on the post-assessment. The students have numbers as their names so that it doesn't give out any student information. The ethnicity column is here, and there's a legend down at the bottom right that shows what each ethnicity code means. And then over here on the right, it shows the number of students who took the pre-test and post-test, which is 20 each, and then the average correct for both. Now, although these are not high averages, it did increase from the pre to the post. So that's good. That's what we want to see. We always want to see an increase in the percentages so that you know you're doing something right in class. So this is the basic data that we're going to use. The way it calculated the pre and post-test percentages is there's a formula up here. So it takes C2 and divides by K2, which is the total number of test items. So it takes the number correct divided by the total number of test items. And that's that formula up there. So I'm going to click out of that so I don't mess anything up. The formulas are up here at the top. If you click on formulas, there are several different formulas in Excel that are automatic. You can scroll down and look. If you ever don't know the formula, because a lot of these have some funny names or shortcuts, you can do insert function and type a description of what you want to do. So if I type average, which is kind of a simple one, and hit go, it's going to bring me a list of functions. It's going to bring up a list. So there's average, which is what we're looking for, and it tells you what it averages. Average if, so it finds the average for cells specified by a given condition or criteria. It gives a pretty good description of what these different formulas will do. So that's a really nice feature within Excel that you can use if you're not sure what you're wanting to do. You can just kind of type in a little description, and then it'll bring up a list of recommended ones for you. You can also filter by category so that your list isn't quite as complex as what this one might be. But that's just some kind of tips and tricks for you to use Excel in the future. This is what you call an Excel workbook. So there can be as many sheets as you want in a workbook. This is sheet 1, and we've named it full class pre and post if you look down here at the bottom left. The next sheet is the full class auto chart. So we already set up a chart that pulls from the information on sheet 1. And you'll see 35 and 57% for the pre and post. That's what it shows up here. And then there's your chart. So we've already charted this for you. There's a template, and when you do your capstone project, you'll get to use these templates, and there's videos that'll walk you step by step through analyzing your own data that you'll pull. The next sheet breaks it down by objectives. So here's objective 1, 2, and 3. So of those 12 questions, here's the number of each each question and the percentages that students got correct. It breaks it down here for you, and then it shows how many took each test. The next sheet shows you, again, the averages for each objective. Scrolling over, the next sheet is an auto chart for objective percentages. And then we're going to do a subgroup comparison. So of the 20 students, we're going to pull 9 out. So there's 3 ESL, 3 SPED, and then 3 who are both ESL and SPED, which is English as a second language and special ed. And we're basing this on objective 2, and this is how many they got correct on pre-assessment and post-assessment. So there were 4 items from objective 2. This is their data broken down. Again, there's a formula already in there that shows what they divided by to get the percentage. Number of students who took the pre and post test, well, for this desegregation, it's 9, because there's 9 students who meet these qualifications. And then here's the percent correct for the pre and post, so it's 19 and 50. The next sheet's going to show a table that breaks that down, and then the last sheet shows a chart. So what's important is that you know how to look at this data, analyze it, and understand it. A lot of school districts will have personnel who will send you the data and send you charts and graphs and kind of desegregate it for you, but it's important to understand how to read that data and know how your class is doing, how subpopulations within your class are doing, and then you can compare it to other students in the building in the same grade, other students in the district if you have multiple elementary schools or middle schools, and then how you do compared to state data. So it's important to know how to read that and understand it and analyze it. One of the big items is that it goes up. So each column from the pre to the post goes up. That means that, whatever remediation or teaching, whatever you're doing in class, scores increase between the pre and the post. So that's what you want to see. That's what teachers want to see, parents want to see, administrators, everybody wants to see an increase in scores when you're looking at assessment and data analysis. What you're going to do now, this is an in-class discussion. So you're going to talk about the data and talk about why it's important to know how to read data, some of the different analyses you might look at or come into contact with as a teacher and when you're student teaching even. And so you're going to have a discussion within class with your lab instructor, and then later you're going to work on a Word document and actually compose a Word, a Word document that's an advanced Word formatting document.